Hello Cloud Growers, and welcome to this lesson where I'll be detailing the one manual step required to configure your EC2 lab machine instance. So we're going to need a couple of things to do this lab. First, we need to go to the EC2 area of the AWS console, and we need to locate the external IP address of our EC2 instance. And that's the one listed here as the public IP address. So copy that. Next, you're going to need the SSH key that you created earlier. Now this should be stored in your downloads folder if you're using OS X, but if you're using any of the other operating systems, you need to locate the ddbcourse.pem file. Now if you're using Windows, you'll need to convert this PEM file into a format that's supported by PuTTY. And if you don't know how to do this, I'm going to include a link on your screen now, which will take you step by step through converting that PEM file into a format that works with PuTTY on Windows. So I'm opening a new Finder window, and you can see here that I've got my ddbcourse.pem file, and this is in my downloads folder. So I'm going to open a new terminal window, and I'm going to go cd downloads, and I'm going to go SSH, and I'm going to say EC2-user, which is the user that all AWS EC2 instances use, if we've selected Amazon Linux, which we have. So SSH EC2 user at, and then the IP address, the public IP address of the lab machine instance, which I just got from the EC2 console. And then I'm going to specify the PEM key to use with a -i, and I'm going to say the current directory, and I'm going to say dbcourse.pem. Now that's all we need to do to connect to this EC2 instance. We could have also right-clicked on the instance and put connect, and this would have given us the command to use, so we wouldn't have had to gone through the effort of copying the IP address and using it in that manner. However, this also shows us another step that's needed. Under certain operating systems, you're required to have a certain set of permissions on the PEM key. Windows doesn't suffer from this, Linux and OS X do. So let's go ahead and copy this command and go back to our terminal. And just cancel that command by pressing the up arrow, and we're going to paste in chmod 400 ddbcourse.pem, and that will just adjust the permissions correctly. So now if we go back and we copy this command and paste this in, and you'll see we can't connect to our instance, and there's a reason for this. So by default, when our lab machine instance is created, it had a very restrictive set of firewall rules applied. And we can see those firewall rules by scrolling up here and going to our default security group. And if we click on this group and then drag this bit up and click on the inbound tab, we can see that the only traffic we allow to this instance is from this security group. So basically only machines which have this security group applied, which currently is just our lab machine instance, are allowed to connect to our lab machine instance. So that should indicate why the SSH command we're trying to do at the moment won't work. So we need to click Edit and Add Rule and change this to SSH for the new rule. Now, we can do two things here. We can either add our specific external IP address. For example, if our external IP address was 1.1.1.1, then we do 1.1.1.1/32, which would indicate just this specific external IP address. And I'll show a URL on your screen now, which will allow you to see what your external IP address is. If we want to be less restrictive, then we can type 0.0.0.0/0, and this will allow any machine on the internet to connect to our lab machine instance only if they have the SSH key, and you're the only person who has the SSH key. So although this may seem a little insecure, given you're the only person who has the SSH key, you're the only person who can connect. So this is fine because we're only using this for the course. So you can click on Save, and this has the benefit of allowing you to connect from the machine you're on at the moment. And if you're working from the office or from an internet cafe or from anywhere with public Wi-Fi access, you can still connect to your instance. So let's leave this for now at 0.0.0.0/0. So we'll click on Save, and that will update the security group that's assigned to our lab instance. So if we go back to our terminal, we'll see that it timed out and we couldn't connect. If we press the up arrow to go back to the previous command and press enter now, we'll notice that it's different. Now we get asked to confirm a fingerprint. So let's just say yes and press enter. And now we're connected to our EC2 lab instance machine. So we'll clear the screen to make it easier to see. And I'm going to increase the size of the window just to make it easier for you to see at home, and increase the size of the text. So you'll notice this is a Linux instance, and if we go AWS, we can see that the AWS command lines are installed. But if we go AWS S3 LS, you'll see that we can't locate any credentials, and that's because we haven't configured the AWS CLI tools on this local instance. Now, for those of you with some experience of AWS, you'll know that we could have given this machine a role and used that role to authenticate to AWS. But as all the scripts in this course expect the loadadmin configuration profile to exist, we need to configure that profile on this instance, and that just makes it easier to use the same scripts either in the lab machine instance or on your machine at home. So we're going to go ahead and run the same command, which is AWS configure --profile loadadmin, and we're going to be asked for an access key ID, a secret access key, a default region, and a default output format. And these are the same questions that we got asked when we configured your local machines. So we're going to get the information from the same place, the loadadmin stack. So let's paste this information in. Let's get the secret access key, paste that in. My region name will be US-East-1, and I'm just going to emphasize again that this needs to be consistent across all of the machines that you configure, so this lab machine and your local machine, and it needs to match the region that you picked when you started setting up this course. So I advised at the beginning that you picked a default region to use for the entire duration of the course, and this needs to match that region. And I'll make sure that on your screen right now is a URL that allows you to convert between the region listed on the AWS console, so here, and the region code. So let's press enter and type JSON for the default output format and press enter. Thanks for listening, Cloud Gurus. That's the end of this lesson where we've configured the lab machine instance. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out directly or via the Cloud Guru forums. Otherwise, go ahead and complete this lesson and move on to the next.